Right, right. So, you know, whatever level the carrier frequency is, anything that's vibrating in the nadis that's higher than that, it won't be able to hang around. As the kind of with this tuning fork effect, the nadis will do what they can to vibrate at the same level as what's on the soundtrack. But they won't be able to because there's all this, remember the technical term, the karmic goop in the nadis, and so that stuff kind of gradually gets pushed out. And once it's all gone, you're not going to feel pushed anymore by that level. And that's when you're going to say, you know, I think it's time to go on to the next level. So.
Right, but if say you've got stuff that's much lower carrier frequency, that may not get pushed out until
that's right.
You're very deep in the program.
That's right. That's right. And I've heard it said that there are certain characteristics of the stuff that's vibrating at each level too. The stuff, you know, up at the Awakening Prologue level has more to do with, you know, your limiting beliefs and a lot of your automatic response mechanisms and things like that. And as you get down much, much deeper in the program, pretty much all that stuff has been handled, and the stuff that's getting dealt with is on a much more primal level than the more surfacey kind of stuff that was released before. And you know, it may have to do with your ability to perceive and, you know, feel yourself at one with the rest of the universe. You know, a much more highly charged and basic concepts. They're really not concepts, but there's kind of no language that really is adequate to talk about this stuff. But the issue that may be getting dealt with at a real super low carrier frequency may be one of around the topic of, you know, oneness with the universe, for instance, to pick something that's a pretty heavy one, rather than, you know, am I okay and will anybody ever love me, or something like that, which might be dealt with at which is you know, still kind of something dealing in the kind of dualistic world. Yeah, Richard?
You say that when you get to, say, flowering for the last level, the 12th level, that's where the limits of the technology come in, and you just can't push yourself anymore.
Well, you can't go really any lower in the carrier frequency.
Okay. Do you feel that there's any or much evolution left for you to do? And if so, how would you suggest doing it? I guess you're going to say you don't care.
Well, obviously there is more evolution for me to. Well, I have to say I'm pretty content at this point in my life, but you know, I still have my frustrations and, you know, things in it. But overall I mean the difference between the way I am now and the way I used to be, my whole life before was involved in kind of holding myself together. And I know some of you can relate to that, because I know some people in this room are still at that point. And some of you may not even realize you're still at that point. But a lot of people are expending an enormous amount of psychic energy, if you want to call it that, to just kind of keep themselves together. And people that have a lot of shame or grief or anger or fear or whatever, or, you know, beliefs, generalizations about themselves that they picked up from their primary caregivers, that are things they do not want to experience and look at. People, you know, repress that stuff, push it out of conscious awareness. And it takes a lot of energy to do that, to hold that stuff. And it leaks anyway. That stuff leaks out all the time. All somebody has to do is talk to you in the same way your dad used to talk to you. You know, for instance, and those feelings start to come up. You know, somebody was telling me, you were telling me about Kent State. Somehow she's starting to think about the shootings that happened at Kent State about 30 years ago, and somehow you know, that triggers some feelings in her that come up. What that is, you know, I don't know, but you know, things happen that cause that stuff to leak out. And it takes all this energy to keep keep it down. So as you go through this program, or you know, and I'm not saying it's just this program, any approach that really works, and this stuff gets released, then that energy becomes available to do other things. And you know, as I said last night, I am certainly not trying to put myself on a pedestal in any way, but in many ways, I feel very self-actualized at this point, where my focus is more, what can I do for the world, and how can I, you know, take on big challenges and create things. And I get a lot of my jollies from creating things. You know, I realized a few years ago that I could really do anything I put my mind to. And so at that point you begin to think, okay, well, so what do I want to do? And there's a number of things that I am working on that are really just in the realm of helping the world. And that's, you know, more where my focus is. That and playing golf.
Can I ask if you're involved in developing anything that will extend the program?
Well, I've thought of creating a final tape for those who finish the program that would be, it would be one where it started off, it went from alpha down through theta and down into delta and held you in delta, but every few minutes it drops carrier frequency, so that the alpha is in a higher carrier frequency, and then a little bit deeper in alpha at a little lower carrier frequency, and so that as the brainwave pattern is decelerating, so is the carrier frequency, so that as you listen to this, you go through every brainwave pattern and every carrier frequency also. And I just haven't had the time yet to get in the studio and well, see, there's such a big market for this, Janice.